welcome to the Real Impact Daily Inspiration Series here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, along with Dennis Henson, author of the Real Impact Daily Inspiration book. It's available in hardcover, paperback, Kindle, and Audible. We hope that you'll go to realimpactbook.com and get your copy. There's a free version. It's an ebook. If you have unlimited Kindle, you get it free anyway. So please go to that website. And there's a lot more there that we're going to go over here on this program. But first, we're going to take a listen to A Dreamer's Dream. This is the story,
A Boy's Crazy Dream. Arnold Schwarzenegger became Mr. Olympia, a Hollywood superstar, and the governor of California. His accomplishments have been recognized worldwide, yet none of those successes came easy. As Arnold took on and overcame numerous obstacles, he never lost focus on his dreams. Schwarzenegger grew up in a small town in Austria. His strict father, the chief of police, wanted him to also become a policeman, but Arnold didn't want to be a cop and rebelled against his father's rules. The young boy was good at sports, especially soccer and skiing. Yet when he discovered bodybuilding at 15, he dropped the other sports. He would frequent gyms, lift weights, and he loved reading articles and looking at pictures in bodybuilding magazines. He dreamed of one day competing and becoming a bodybuilding champion. Sometimes he would even break into his high school gym to work out. One weekend, Arnold saw the movie Hercules, starring Reg Park. Park was the greatest bodybuilder of the time, and Schwarzenegger wanted to be exactly like him. So when he learned Reg used bodybuilding to become a movie star, Arnold developed a burning desire to do the same. Think of that, a young boy in a small village half a world away from America, having so bold a dream. When Arnold told his friends, "I'm going to be the world's greatest bodybuilder," they laughed. "You're just a skinny kid, you're crazy." Arnold ignored them and passionately stuck to his goal. Nothing was going to get in his way. When Bodybuilding Magazine published Reg Park's workout routine, Arnold resolved to adopt it for his own. The other weightlifters at his gym were puzzled by the extent of Schwarzenegger's workouts. They warned him that he might injure himself if he didn't slow down. However, Arnold did not listen. Their admonitions only made him work harder. Schwarzenegger then studied everything he could find about bodybuilding and developed a detailed plan for achieving his goals. 6 days a week he pushed himself to the limit, and he was making astonishing progress when his father stepped in. Concerned for his son, he asked, "Why have you chosen to do bodybuilding instead of skiing or soccer?" "I'm not interested in those sports. I'm going to become Austria's best bodybuilder. Then I'm going to America and become the world's greatest bodybuilder." Laughing, his father replied, "What do you expect to accomplish from that?" "When I become the world's best bodybuilder, I will become the most famous movie star ever." Arnold's father shook his head and believed his son was crazy. When his mother heard what he had planned, she almost fainted. So his parents took him to a psychiatrist where they were told, "Such ridiculous dreams are common with youngsters. With time, he'll adapt to the real world." To discourage him, his father cut his gym visits to 3 a week. Not to be dissuaded, Arnold turned his home into a gym, using whatever he could find as weights. He continued to exercise every free minute, even riding his bicycle in the bitter cold. Finally, his father realized Arnold couldn't be stopped and let him go back to the gym. By the time he was 18, Schwarzenegger had become one of Austria's most muscular men and undoubtedly the biggest in his age group. After high school, he joined the Austrian Army. Soon after enlisting, he learned of the upcoming Junior Mr. Europe competition. Recognizing this as his opportunity to become a champion, he requested leave. When the Army refused, Arnold was crushed. Yet, on competition day, his desire was so strong that he defied orders and competed anyway. To say the least, the Army officials were not pleased. And when he returned, having won Junior Mr. Europe, they didn't know what to do with him. Though they jailed him for 15 days, he'd earned their respect, and they often told the other soldiers, "You should be focused like Schwarzenegger." The Junior Mr. Europe title got him noticed, and a Munich gym owner offered to sponsor his training. The gym gave Arnold everything he needed to compete. He trained hard and easily became Mr. Europe. Arnold started becoming famous and was invited to London to compete in the Mr. Universe competition. In his first contest, he came in second. Undaunted, he was crowned Mr. Universe Europe the following year. He was moving up, but he knew his competition would be a more significant challenge. The IFBB contest attracted the greatest bodybuilders in the world. The head of that organization recognized Arnold's talent and sponsored a work visa for him to compete in America. At the Mr. Universe competition, he came in second to Frank Zane. Seeing that Frank wasn't his size, he wondered if the competition was rigged. Although when he saw Zane's picture, Arnold realized he was more ripped and defined, so Schwarzenegger determined he would work to develop more definition in his muscles. The next year, he surpassed Zane. The following year, he became the IFBB Mr. Universe. This time, he also defeated his idol, Reg Park. But he knew he was still not at the top. There was an even bigger competition called Mr. Olympia. Schwarzenegger knew that to fulfill his dream, he would have to become Mr. Olympia. But in his first competition, he lost in a close decision to Sergio Oliva. Then Arnold swore he would put in the necessary training and come back. The following year, he defeated Sergio and became Mr. Olympia, the pinnacle of competitive bodybuilding. Still, he was not finished and continued to win the title until he won it more times than anyone else. Having fulfilled his dream, he retired from bodybuilding to concentrate on becoming a famous movie star. Again, this challenge would even be more difficult. While Schwarzenegger was still a competitive bodybuilder, he acted in a low-budget movie, Hercules. It was a flop, and he was ridiculed. Knowing the film was horrible, he resolved to improve his acting skills. The next year, Arnold was cast in a few movies and even won a Golden Globe for Best Debut in a Small Role in Stay Hungry. He was also subject of an award-winning documentary, Pumping Iron. Yet the idea of him becoming a major star was far-fetched at best. Even though his roles got him some attention, his agents were amused when he told them he wanted a leading role. They told him he was dreaming and didn't have a chance. They said, "Your name can hardly be pronounced. People will laugh when they see it on billboards," and they suggested he change it. Arnold refused. "I will become a star and do so using my real name." Then they said, "You have a weird body and are overbuilt. Stars need to be slim. Plus, you have a weird accent. You can't become a leading actor with that accent, and no production company will risk having you play a leading part." Arnold was disappointed in the agents, but not in himself. They only caused him to become more determined. He vowed to accomplish his crazy dream regardless of what others thought. Improving his heavy accent was his first objective. Next, he strove to make himself more visible, actually managing to become a media darling as a celebrity bodybuilder. He appeared on TV, game, and talk shows, and labored to keep himself in the public eye. His efforts did not go unnoticed, and all Hollywood producers knew him. Anytime a super-muscular man was cast for a leading role, Schwarzenegger would be among the front-runners. In 1980, movie director John Milius got his mega project Conan the Barbarian approved for production. Milius was seeking a leading actor with a super-muscular build. When Schwarzenegger's name came up, he was asked to audition. This time Arnold was prepared. He'd reduced his accent and greatly improved his acting skills. He had the right build, and his audition convinced Milius that he was Conan. After a year and a half of filming, Conan the Barbarian hit the theaters. It was a blockbuster, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, the movie star, was the talk of Hollywood. Suddenly he was lauded for his physique, acting, and dialogue. Then, what remained of Arnold's accent became famous catchphrases. He'd also earned the respect of the industry for his decision to stick to his original name. Everything his agents told him would be liabilities became his greatest strength. And now that he was a big star, all the agents were chasing him. But when those who had discouraged him reached out, he ignored them. Following the movie's super success, Schwarzenegger received numerous offers to star in major films. In 1984, he was cast as the Terminator, a role that would make him an international megastar. With the release of his second blockbuster, his dream of becoming a superstar was realized. The boy whose dreams had been ridiculed and laughed at turned those dreams into reality. In the 1990s, Arnold became Hollywood's most prominent and highest-paid movie star. After the turn of the century, Schwarzenegger had enough of Hollywood and dove into politics. He was discounted and told he lacked political experience. Everyone said that he had no chance. But again, he proved his critics wrong. Arnold was elected governor of the state of California not once, but twice. The most incredible thing about Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't his physique, but instead his ability to focus on and achieve his dreams. The mind is the limit. As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it. As long as you really believe, 100%. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, I'll tell you, folks, that is a story of perseverance, and in this case, from around the world. And we're going to talk about this story with Dennis Henson here on the Real Impact Daily Inspiration Story series here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan. Dennis, welcome to the program. And of course, we just heard the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he had quite a number of hurdles to jump over, so to speak, some challenges, but it didn't let him stop. Again, did not let them stop him. And of course, the only complaint I have about Arnold is when he was governor, and he didn't lower the registration costs on our vehicles. But that's a whole nother thing. I love watching him in Terminator. I did see bits and pieces of Conan the Barbarian and some of his other films as well, and as well as some of the films he was in with Danny DeVito. But he's got a very diverse. His resume is very diverse. So we'll put it that way.
It is. Yeah, there's a big difference in Conan and Kindergarten Cop. Pretty wide range. But he's got the shoulders big enough to handle both of them, I guess.
Absolutely. So this dream of his, in essence, started out when he was very young. I mean, even a child. Yeah.
15 years old.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And he just decided, well, this is what I want. And nothing, his father couldn't stop him. And nothing was going to stop him. He went in the army and they told him, no, you can't compete. And he went AWOL, competed anyway. He just, he had made up his mind, which, the book, Real Impact Daily Inspiration, is filled with stories of people that you know their name, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who had a dream and nothing was going to stop them. They got knocked down and things got in their way. They didn't really have a great chance, but they did it anyway, which is where the daily inspiration comes in. As you read these stories, you see that maybe what you want is not that distant when you compare it with the people in the stories.
Yeah. Not that distant, not that different. And the thing that really strikes me is a mathematical equation, or at least a numerical comparison. If your falls to your rises is uneven, then you're still down. But if your falls to your rises are even, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, that means you got up again and you're still moving forward. And I even found that true too when it came to our inhales and exhales. We will inhale and exhale probably millions of times in this lifetime. But when this life is over, those inhales and exhales will be even, because you inhale when you come into this world and then you start crying, usually, so in some cases. But when you leave this world, it's a final exhale. So now you're balanced. And it's the same thing with falling down and getting back up again. Falling down and as long as you keep getting back up, keep it even. That's my advice, is keep it even.
I agree.
We have been talking throughout this portion of 2025 about the stories and about the work that you're doing. I wanted to touch upon that page that you have available at realimpactbook.com. You have multiple links for multiple purposes. And one of them, of course, I love because I went to play the contest, but apparently I did not read the instructions correctly because I was looking for the lamp on the page I was on and didn't find the lamp. And I thought, okay, well, that's fine. You know, I already have my book coming and I'm good with that. But you have some other wonderful links to some opportunities for people in addition to getting their, if they want to purchase a copy or they want to get a free copy. I think one of my favorite things, of course, and I think maybe in one of our future programs we'll replay the audio of this, but people can go to that webpage, realimpactbook.com, and click on the link near the top there, having to do with the story of Aladdin's lamp.
The lamp mystery.
The lamp mystery.
Right. That's actually the first link. You click on that, and there's an audio recording there that tells why the story of Aladdin parallels human life. Most of the time people have read the story and think, well, it didn't have anything. It's just a kid's story, but it's much more than a kid's story. And then there are other links. Contact me. You know, if you want to contact me, my email is there. My phone number's there. I'm available for podcast, radio programs, keynote
speeches.
I'm doing a lot. I've got an actual speech next week, and have some others planned. I just finished one not long ago, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that and getting some really good ratings from those. So if you know someone who has an event coming up and needs a keynote speaker, have them get in touch with me. Some of the other links would be Help the Children. That's a good one. So I want to give these books out for free to children in disadvantaged communities. And I'm doing that through small libraries and schools, middle schools and high schools with limited budgets. So if you want to donate to that, you can donate as little as $1 or $5 or $10,000, how much ever you can afford. And every cent of that goes toward the purchase of the books to get to children and children's continuing education and child literacy. Another link on there would be, let's see, we got the lamp mystery, we got the Help the Children. Then there's one that says buy now. That's a good one right there. You click on that and you can see all the different versions that we have. Yeah. We got a deluxe hardcover edition, really nice book. The soft cover, which is less expensive, but has the same words inside. We have the ebook, we have an audio book, and we have an app that should be out probably this month. So there's a lot of options, and the pricing is very reasonable. I'm also adding another link with books. It says coming soon, or books that I'm writing. I'm working on The Laws of Nature for Success, the REI Skills series. It's a real estate. In fact, today, How to Get Started Investing in Real Estate is going up. So if you're interested in that, you can find that on Amazon. Real Impact 2, Real Impact 3, and the 7 Secrets of Success. And I actually have a couple of others planned, but I don't have them named yet. So I'm really busy writing and enjoying that. So I hope you'll go to that website, realimpactbook.com. I hope you'll check it out. See if you can find the little lamp, win a free audio book. And also hope you'll go to Amazon and leave a review for Choices, for Richard's book. And for my book, if you've got the free ebook, I hope you'll read it and go and leave a review. And that's basically it. If you have any questions, or you just want to, if you feel down and you want to talk with someone, my phone number is there on Contact Us, and my email, you can send me an email.
We certainly encourage people to do that, and it's an opportunity for each one of us to not only be inspired, which is of course certainly the main focus, but also to grow in the areas in which we want to, but also to grow in areas maybe we never even thought of before. I loved the example of making two lists that you talked about before about and then taking the top five of each, and in each of these lists you prioritize them, and then you put those top five on either column together, and it'll give you your life's purpose. But it'll also give you, I think, a direction, not just in terms of your life's purpose, but in terms of maybe some of the steps that you might need to take in order to get to where you want to go. I.e., you're going to be creating your own roadmap. And that's really important too, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing, yes, okay, I know where I want to go. Great. Now, how do I get there? And sometimes you have to bring in others to help you to get there. Talk to us a little bit about that process.
I call the roadmap the seven secrets of success, and one follows the other. They're in order. The first secret is you have to get your mind right. You have to know what you want, believe you're going to get it. That's faith. You have to seek wisdom. Read every day, listen, go to events, seminars, find a mentor every day. Look to learn more about whatever it is that you're wanting to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
You have to develop skills in any business or sport. There's certain skills that have to be mastered. Well, you need to learn what those skills are so that you can start mastering them. You've got to practice to get better. You need to make detailed plans. No one would dare build a skyscraper without making detailed plans. You'd for sure run into some serious problems. Well, isn't what you want as important as building a building, or even more so? And then form great alliances like Richard and I have formed. There's people out there who can help you get what you want, and at the same time, you're helping them. So those are great alliances for both of you. And then the last one, Richard just talked about being persistent, getting up one more time, then you got knocked down. So those are the seven secrets. And every super successful person that you ever have heard of or read about have gone through each of those seven secrets. It's just amazing. I was writing a story for the book, The Laws of Nature for Success, and I discovered the Wright brothers story. And it is amazing how they went through each of the seven secrets until the plane left the ground. It's an amazing story, and that one, it'll be fun to read too when the book comes out.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting to find the histories of some of these inventors of significant inventions. At least they are now, because we wouldn't have some of the things that we have today, like an airplane,
Right.
like a train, like the cell phone or smartphone. And of course, I like to think that although Marconi did get the credit for it because he got to the patent office first, and we'll just go ahead and say the invention of the radio. Matter of fact, I still remember, I think, building one of those crystal sets. It didn't have a box; it just was on a board, and you could pick up radio stations from that. And the people who have invented all of these different things down through, especially the last, let's say, century and a half, that have brought us to where we are today. And it's really quite incredible that it now allows us, and when you think about the computer, I'm working now on a laptop. It used to be a big old box with all kinds of stuff in it, and big old fans whirring away and what have you, and a big screen that was like a foot deep. And they are darn flatter than a pancake now. And who knows what we're going to have tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And it might be you who comes up with the innovation. See, that's the other thing too, is a lot of people think that these are inventions or discoveries. And I say, no, they're just innovations of what came before. We're still getting from point A to point B. We used to walk. We used to ride a horse or some other animal. And then it was a horse-drawn carriage with wheels, and then an automobile, and trains, and then planes, and rockets now that take us into outer space, and the list goes on, you know. And it's that kind of innovation that you very well could say, you know what, I was thinking, you know, what if we took a part of this and a part of this and maybe a part over here from this invention and put those together and see what we come up with.
That reminds me of the story.
Oh,
Can
I
you
see
see
it.
that?
I s-
Okay. The first time that was ever seen was on a ping pong table.
ah,
Steve Jobs saw it projected on the ping pong table. That was the people he had working, and he saw that and he said, you know, this is amazing. There's just no end to what we can do with this. And now this from him seeing that projected on a ping pong table.
mm-hmm.
Here we have it.
And I
It's an
still,
amazing story.
and I still don't understand how a finger on the screen can do what we do. And the comparison, of course, I know you've heard this many times too, is that we have more power in our cell phones than they had on the floor of JPL to launch the Apollo program.
Right.
And wow, you know, I mean, it used to be in the early days of radio for me. I would have, if there was a problem, I had to bicycle to the radio station, unlock the door, get in there, fix the problem, and then I could bicycle home. Now I can sit here in the comfort of my own home, log into the computer that's playing the programming instead of tape, and fix the problem usually, and then get it all fixed and squared away, and then log out, and I'm still at home. You know, no pedaling involved. It's quite a remarkable world in which we live, Dennis. It really is.
It is.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to continue here on the Real Impact Daily Inspiration series here on Tell Me Your Story. Dennis Henson and yours truly, Richard Dugan, Reverend Dr. D, and we will continue as we continue bringing you new paradigms for a new world and giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. Dennis Henson, Richard Dugan, Real Impact, and we are talking about, of course, in the last segment about, excuse me, the innovations that have come through the last 150 years. But of course, even prior to that, they were innovating in the best way they could. Of course, a lot of the times they were doing battle with one another for territory and what have you, and they did innovate in all kinds of different weapons back then. And but at the same time, you know, sailing ships were around a lot longer. You know, they go back hundreds of years as well. And that's quite an amazing feat in and of itself, to where you've built this craft, you put it in the water, and it didn't sink. Really? Because we have an event that takes place here in Santa Barbara. I believe it's called Deltopia, something along those lines. But what they do is they build these aquatic devices, I'll call them, or craft, made out of cardboard and duct tape and other things other than your standard materials for building water-going craft. And some of them will go quite a distance before they sink, but it's the creativity, the engineering. I even saw where this group of people were trying to, the instructor wanted them to build a bridge that would hold up a certain weight, maybe 50 pounds. And and this was an engineering group. And most every single person that designed and built their bridge out of popsicle sticks crumbled until they got to one. And I'm looking at the thing going, okay, well, technically that could be a bridge. And the young lady who built it stood on it. They helped her up onto the table, stood on the bridge, and it didn't collapse because of something she understood, and it wasn't the glue that was holding the paper, the popsicle sticks together, because they should have broken. But she found a way to make that work. And of course, you then take that to another level, and you say, okay, well, we're not going to use popsicle sticks, but we're going to use either lumber, or we're going to use steel, or whatever the case, and we're going to design it the way she's designed it, and it's going to be there for maybe centuries, because based upon the way that it's holding up there as popsicle sticks, I can't imagine that it's going to go anywhere made out of steel, or pressure treated wood, or whatever the case might be. So that's the kind of amazing thing that we can accomplish. And I think, what was that quote one more time? You quoted it earlier about accomplishing things. We can do pretty much anything we want that we think of.
I know what you're talking about, but and it's my quote, but it
Right.
doesn't come to
Well,
mind.
I'm thinking of Arnold's quote that we heard,
Yes.
in terms of the mind, how powerful
Right.
it is, you know, and that is just extraordinary. And I think about that in terms of, I mean, my goodness, I'm 65 years old. Hard to believe. I mean, I think about that and I'm going, no, I'm still kid. I'm just a kid. Come on. I'm still just a kid. That's how I feel inside, Dennis. And
Well, you're still the same person.
yeah, the body's changed, but the personality, and it has certainly, but it's taken on some new attributes as well. But for the most part, pretty much the same. And it's just, it's an extraordinary world that we live in. You were talking earlier about the books that are available, and of course, there's a link to be notified when another volume comes out. You actually have a couple of volumes in the works for the Real Impact series, and the one I'm really intrigued by, I'm looking forward to, is the third volume,
Right.
having to do with well, we use the term miracles. Talk to us about that book and your thoughts about its impact as the Real Impact series thus far has been.
When I started the Real Impact series, I had 100, hundreds of quotes, or maybe even close to 1,000 quotes, and then lots of poems, and I had 100 short stories. Well, if I'd have put all of those in one book, you wouldn't have been able to pick the book up. It would have been too heavy.
Hmm.
So I had a difficult time deciding which ones to keep and which ones to let out of the book. So I decided I'll do other books, and then I can use these stories, poems, and quotes in the second one. So I started Real Impact 2, and I've got it 80% finished, or maybe a little bit more. Then these other stories kept coming in to my mind that had to do with, for a better lack of a better term, religion. There were miracles
Hmm.
that had to do, and only God could have done these things.
Right.
So I think rather than putting those in Real Impact 1 or 2, I'll put those in Real Impact 3, because it's kind of a spiritual number. And Real Impact 3 is going to have some really powerful stories. And they're, for the most part, true, the
Hmm.
best I could research. And these first two books, when you read the stories, tears will come to your eyes.
Mm.
When you read the third book, you're going to absolutely be amazed. I
Hmm.
mean, it's literally going to shock you at what some people have experienced. So I found the quote you were asking about. I just looked it up.
Okay.
The mind is the limit. As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it. As long as you really believe it 100%. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he knows.
Absolutely, he does. It's just incredible, and the direction that his life has taken, and certainly he's had, obviously, as we all have, his ups and downs. I think there was something that you said in a previous program about that. That yeah, we have these stories of these notable people. We recognize their names, but there are just as many, and then even more people whose names we don't know, who've gone through the same kinds of adversity, and yet they have wound up, if you will, they've wound up on top. because they persevered. We persevere forward on this program. It's called Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. This is the Real Impact series with Dennis Henson. I'm Richard Dugan, and we ask you to continue listening to the New Paradigms for a New World, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. Dennis, one of the things that I wanted to maybe elaborate to our listeners, that phrase, I remember coining the phrase, giving people choices and knowledge of those choices. In my book, Choices, the first step is make a choice. Well, that's easier said than done because we don't always know what choices that we have. And so it requires, just like you researched each of these stories that are in your book, we have to research what it is that we want to do. So, to that end, I'm going to have you repeat that making of two lists, that concept, which I think will really help people.
The first list that you should make is, what are you really good at? What do you enjoy doing? Are you good at painting? Are you good at music? Or it can be anything. Maybe you're a good engineer. So list 20 things that you feel like that you're pretty good at, and then leave the things off that, if you're not handy, don't put that on there. Then make another list of things that you would really love to do. If I could just do anything, and then money and time, and there's no barriers, just whatever it is. Maybe you want to become a veterinarian, maybe you want to become a doctor or a nurse, or maybe you want to be a real estate investor. I mean, it can be anything. So list 20 things you would say, well, if I could, that would be fun. I would like to do that. It wouldn't be work. It would be interesting. So then prioritize each list, 1 to 20. Which one would you like most? Which things am I best at? Then take the top 5 of those. Maybe you won't get 20. Maybe you'll only get 10 or 15 or 12. I don't know. But get as many as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Because after they're prioritized, you're only going to use the top 5 anyway. And then look and then put them together and say, well, I'm good at this, and this fits in this category. So once you've merged those, it becomes really clear. I could do this because I'm really good at that kind of thing. And then imagine yourself there and think, would that be something that I'd really love to do? Would I be willing to change my whole life to move in that direction? And if so, then maybe that's why you're put here. I think of it like this. Who teaches ants what to do? I mean, they know what to do, and they know how to, take care of the queen. Same way with the bees. Where's bee school? Where's bee college? Well, there's not one. Bees know what to do. Well, who told them? Well, nature told them. Well, you're being told what you need to do all of the time. It's just humans have free will, and they also have the ability to say, yes, but I don't have the money, but their butts get in the way. Mm-hmm. I don't have the contacts, I don't have the money, I don't have the education. They can think of a million reasons why they can't do it. What Arnold was saying was that all of that stuff is just ridiculous. If your mind says, this is what you want to be, the entire universe will open the Red Sea and work to get you there. Everything will open up. When I was in high school, we were very poor. My father was injured really bad in World War II. We lived on a pension, and it wasn't even the full pension. It was a 60% pension, and pensions were not very much money, and 60% of not very much is nothing. So, we lived on my grandmother's farm, and I didn't have much. I mean, I didn't know we were poor, but we were poor. I found out after I grew up. My goodness, we were really. So I didn't have any money. I had terrible grades. I hated school. I didn't I only knew 4 or 5 people who had ever gone to college. I didn't want to go to college. I had no desire to go to college. My favorite time of the year was summer when school was out. All right, no school for 2 or 3 months. I love that. And I thought, well, when I graduate, it's going to be summer for the rest of my life. No more school. The last thing I would have wanted was to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was a drummer in the high school band, and then this college band came and they brought their drum section. And I heard that and my mind just exploded. I thought, my gosh, did you ever see the movie Drumline back in 2002? All right. They were doing some amazing stuff in 2002. Well, what I saw in 1963 was the same thing. That college was doing things 40 years ahead of what's happening in colleges now. When I saw that, I thought, I'd do anything to get into that. So I went to my band director and I said, how do I get in that drum section? And he looked at me and laughed and he said, well, Dennis, you got to go to college. I remember just my chest falling. Go to college. You got to go to college to get in that drum section. They're not going to let you in college with your grades. You're failing everything. And I said, well, if I change my grades, can I be in that drum section? And he said, well, I guarantee you this, you'll never get into it unless you do. Mm-hmm. So my grades went from D's and F's to A's and B's, and I went to college. And guess what? I hated school until that day. And then I couldn't wait to get to school to improve my grades so I could go be in that drum section. School became fun.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It was just a change of my mind, just an instant change. I went to college, became part of the drum section, became the section leader, became the drum major of the band, got a BS degree, got a master's degree, and I was accepted in the doctoral program in the University of Mississippi. The same guy that was flunking out of the 9th grade. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, a man has a PhD who hated college, did not want to go beyond senior year, and yet he's got his master's and all of that good stuff. And we are going to pause here to remind you to go to realimpactbook.com. Whole bunch of links there, but if you'd like to get a copy of Real Impact Daily Inspiration, you want a free Kindle version, then go to the bottom of the page, click on Podcast Attendee, and you will get yourself a free ebook. If you've got unlimited Kindle, you already have access to a free ebook version of a Real Impact Daily Inspiration, and we hope that you'll get yourself a copy. I've got the bundle coming, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited about getting that, and we will continue here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm here with Dennis Henson, and Dennis, this is always a pleasure getting together with you, listening to these stories. We've got a couple of months coming up where we're going to dive into a couple of stories that folks are going to want to stay tuned for each week, because it could take us 3 or 4 weeks to get through, for example, the story of the sisters. All right, that story, it's a long one, and we're going to break it down just like we did with Abraham Lincoln back in the early days, February of 25. But even longer is the story of the man who created the happiest place on earth. And we'll find out more about that as we continue. Dennis, it is always a pleasure to get together with you and to share the work that you're doing, as well as the work that I am doing, and putting it together to hopefully make a difference in the lives of people. And I say hopefully, but I know you probably are of the perspective, I know we're helping people. I know we are, because there are people listening, and I can tell you people are listening because I take a look at the analytics from the different locations online where Tell Me Your Story is posted, and there are people, they may not subscribe, but they are listening, and that's really, really cool. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy these.
We are going to continue this series next week and the week after and so forth throughout 25, and we hope that you will stay alive and live in 25, if you will, as we continue bringing you the Real Impact daily inspiration series here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and we also have that 8 a.m. Wednesday edition of the Real Impact Tell Me Your Story series. So that's where you're going to hear it on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. with the other 4 days of the week, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., streaming live at those times at richarddugan.com. With podcasts at SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spreaker, and many other locations, as well as YouTube, where you can watch these conversations. We hope that you will subscribe and click notification. We ask that you go to richarddugan.com and click on the link to the book Choices. It's available at Amazon, available in hardcover, paperback, Kindle, as well as Audible coming very soon. And also, if you'd like to leave us a tip, click on the PayPal link at richarddugan.com and leave us a tip there. We would greatly appreciate that. Finally, we ask that you take some time to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place where, guess what, no one else can get to but you, and listen to that still small voice. And I tell you what, one of these days we're going to talk about that as far as getting inspiration from within as well. As we wrap things up here on Tell Me Your Story, the Real Impact series, thank you so much for joining us. And to my dear wife, love Talal. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I will see you on the other side. Mike, thanks for letting me be in your life. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.